Welcome to the LongBox Paradox, episode 38. And this week, got two Marvel books and two DC books I'm going to hit up for mini reviews, I guess you could call it. I felt they were worth talking about, and I mean, honestly, I've beat Ascender to death talking about that. Same with Black Science. So we're going to start out right away with the second issue from Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates of Absolute Carnage. Stegman's art remained pretty solid. A little bit of McFarlane tinge to it. Picks up where the last issue left off at Ravencroft. And Carnage has now infected and raised his horde. He has Norman Osborn with him. And basically Spider-Man and Venom are on the verge of defeat and have to beat a hasty retreat. Norman has basically become Carnage's bitch. Have that weird feeling that Norman's gonna pull something by the time this ends, but as of right now, not really sure where it's going. Find out from the maker that Dylan actually now has the codex in him. It passed on from Anne to him. Not a whole lot going on, at least action-wise, until we get to the horde of Carnages going after Miles Morales and Scorpion. Scorpion basically is trying to screw him over. Miles actually saves him from Cletus, aka Carnage, and the book ends with basically Miles being taken by the Horde and asking for help. I didn't feel this was as strong as issue 1. It was good, it just wasn't great. There was just something lacking to it. Where issue 1 had a lot of substance to it, this kind of felt like it was rushing. Nothing really wrong with the art, nothing really wrong with the writing. It just ended up being that kind of issue. I mean, nothing bad. Nothing really hooked me in like the first issue did. I can't put my finger on it. It just felt like it was lacking something. The little bits of Norman and Cletus going back and forth I thought was interesting. That really was hooked me in most of the way through, is that little back and forth between them. I'm gonna give this book a 6.5. I felt it could have been better. And again, the Miles Morales thing, like, I feel like this is one of those ones where you have to be reading the little one-shots and spin-off issues. Again, it wasn't bad. I didn't feel it was as good as it could have been. And from there, we're going to move on to yet another Marvel book, and this had a lot going on in it, and that would be House of X number 3. The first thing I will say is I weirdly didn't feel Larraz's art was as crisp as it had been in some of the earlier issues. It happens every now and again. We start out with Cyclops basically getting his team ready, and he is going to be going into space to basically take on and destroy the satellite building the Mother Mold. He has his team. It's Monet, Archangel, Wolverine, Marvel Girl, Nightcrawler, Mystique, and they're going over the mission. And they're not bringing any Krakoa fauna with them because they don't want them to be able to explore it. And then we go to a couple of pages that go into the Sentinel to Nimrod progression, with the Sentinel Alpha being the non-sentient mutant hunting robots, then a Master Mold, a replicating adaptive Sentinel, and then the Mother Mold, a replicating adaptive Sentinel factory that's self-aware, and then the Omega Sentinel, a human infected with nano-sentinel technology and progressively transformed from human to machine, which would be Karima, and then Nimrod, a pure nano-sentinel construct, anti-mutant adaptive, self-aware, self-replicating, virtually indestructible. And from there, there are more about Nimrod. Nimrod is an end-state nanosentinel construct. Moira X has learned that while emergent AIs are unavoidable, an anti-mutant Nimrod is not. It is a product of a particular intent, manufactured for a purpose. And then it goes on to a little bit more. Moira dies, Moira reincarnates. The Orcus protocols. Stuff you definitely should stop and read during it. It also talks about Project Achilles. And then we jump again over to basically a court hearing for Sabretooth. And the Cuckoos and Emma Frost come in and basically go ahead and take him. Then it jumps again to more text of the Omega cycle. Human Omega Sentinel process. Infection, nesting, replication, dormancy, activation, union, adaptation, Omega. And we finally get into the space area, and the X-Men have started their assault on it. We have Omega Sentinel Karima there, and they start their attack on it. And basically, there is a giant explosion, and the book ends. Again, a lot going on. Larraz's art wasn't as crisp. The story, while having a lot going on, weirdly, every issue after issue 2 has been kind of a... It's hard to top issue 2. Again, this is a build-up issue. I'm going with a 7 on it. I thought it could have... Again, it's one of those, I wanted more out of it, and maybe it's my own high expectations after issue 2. It's still fantastically interesting. I keep wondering what the end game is, like, with these 2 series going. Where is it going? At some point, Moira, her last reincarnation, is it gonna end in the future? Is it gonna end in the now? Just super curious about it. And we're gonna move on to Batman Curse of the White Knight issue 2. The A cover was fantastic with Azrael on the cover. We start out with a little bit of history about the Edward Wayne coming to the New World, or is it Edmund Wayne? Edmund Wayne. So he meets a priest, and he frees him, takes him to the New World, trains him on the boat on their way there to basically take Gotham away from the Arkhams. The priest's name is Bakar. And they get to the New World, and then we jump to this character named Ruth coming to visit. She knows who Bruce Wayne is, and basically is hired by some rather influential people. She also is involved with the Order of St. Dumas. Commissioner Gordon is running for mayor, and he talks about how he hated Jack Napier. Joker ends up showing up and plays a video there, basically saying, he's mocking Jim Gordon, saying, "I'm too stupid to even notice that my daughter is actually Batgirl," and then shows her taking off the mask, and then pictures her. And then we jump to Ruth's office, where she's talking to Jean-Paul Vallée and his 2 associates, and basically getting him ready to take on Batman and take Gotham back. Commissioner Gordon is now upset with Batman. He was supposed to reveal himself. He didn't, and now he's dragged his daughter into it. She's upset. Batman wants to interrogate Joker and wants Harleen to help him. Harleen gets up, and then we see that she is pregnant with Jack Napier's child. I'm going to keep referring to Napier and Joker as two different people because technically kind of they are. And then just Sean Gordon Murphy splash porn here. Azrael putting the flaming sword in the scabbard, holding machine gun. Just fantastic. I'm impressed with the way Sean Gordon Murphy has grown as a writer, and also, I mean, his art, it works very, very well. And Azrael now has hacked into Wayne Manor, the Batcave, and basically tells him, I'm vengeance, I'm God's wrath, here to break the curse, to rise up against you and deliver this land from evil. After 3 centuries, the House of Wayne will finally be rectified. And basically, they take over everything networked in the cave and start destroying it. And we see Azrael's war wagon driving away as Wayne Manor's exploding. That is the end of the book. It moved insanely fast. Honestly, the pacing was almost too fast to a point. Murphy's writing and art are on point on this. Just handled well. I have some friends who, big Batman fans, and while they love this Batman, they can't stand the thigh-high boots. I'm okay with it. The giant neck piece collar is a little much, but I'm loving this story. I've always been kind of a shill for Azrael, and the way Sean Gordon Murphy is drawing him and this reinterpretation is fantastic. I think I'm solid with an 8.5 on this. I really enjoyed it. I've been enjoying it. I really liked White Knight as well. It's also nice that Murphy gets to play with basically his own mythos here. He doesn't have to play with anybody else's continuity except his own, and that's just great. And we're going to move on from there to a book that I've both been excited about and also dreading. And when I say dreading, it's because I'm not a huge fan of the Dark Multiverse, Batman Who Laughs stuff. I feel like they should have taken a break with it. And I have Batman Superman by Josh Williamson and David Marquez. And the art is on point. Williamson's writing, it's standard fare for him. It's very solid. And we start out with how the Batman Who Laughs killed the Superman of his universe. Interesting the way they show it, and the reveal of it. And then it jumps to Earth Zero, which is our current rebirth Earth. And Jim Gordon is up there with the bat signal. Batman has called Superman, and it's called Who Are the Secret Six, which the Secret Six are actually the infected that have been on Earth. And as we saw in the Batman Who Laughs series, this Gordon is infected. After he turns off the bat signal, he does a little heh. And a boy's been kidnapped, and that's what they're trying to solve. And we find out Batman has known where the Batman Who Laughs Batcave, because of course the Batman Who Laughs has to have his own Batcave. And Clark's like, how do you know where it is? He's like, well, he told me himself. And it's like a twisted version of the Batcave. It's got knives. It's got his little twisted robins there. And we see this case, basically they're batarangs that have molds, and they have traces of the serum merged with nth metal. And they say, Gordon was here, why have him here? And I guess it kind of leads up to them kind of figuring out Gordon's infected. They haven't tip that hat yet. Superman moves one of the chess pieces, and they show this hologram of the Justice League, the Titans, Teen Titans, and all of them have these little X's over their eyes and a smile. And Batman, Superman are talking, this is bigger than Gotham, Batman. You said potentially, but what if he's already poisoned our allies? So we're starting to build the paranoia. And one of the little Robins comes out and attacks. And he's, kind of like, took me from my family, hit me with a batarang, changed me, made me wear this costume, said I was too innocent for this mission, but he could use me. And they already kind of revealed, I think Bleeding Cool posted this almost a month ago. But Superman's trying to help the boy. He's like, what don't we understand? And then the kid goes, I'm glad he took me. He freed me. Don't you recognize me? And Clark's like, oh no. And the Robin goes, my name's Billy Batson. And he had the crack of Shazam. And it was, Superman and I have an ongoing debate about what would happen if we were to use the same tactics on our enemies. It always ends the same. I tell him my concerns, and he smiles and says I worry too much. And then Batman gets hit by the Shazam lightning. Superman is basically in the arms of Shazam, or Dark Shazam, or whatever they're going to call him. And it says, I always wondered if I could kick your ass, Superman. And then the laughter, and then it cuts to nothing. It's the end. Interesting first issue. Again, the big shocker of Billy Batson was ruined by Bleeding Cool months ago. So, thanks, Rich Johnson and Bleeding Cool, for constantly posting spoilers and then having it on your Facebook where it flat out says the spoiler right in the headline. Yeah, so I'm going to give this a 7. Williamson has the voice of Batman. His Superman didn't really get a lot to do in this. Like, you didn't get a lot of his inner monologue. It seemed to be much, much more of Batman, which, of course, everybody wants to write Batman's monologue because he's a lunatic. I liked it. I didn't love it. It's Josh Williamson, and I kind of keep seeing reveals of who the Secret Six are. So I'm interested in seeing at least how we get there. I don't know how long I'm going to hang in because I just am not very fascinated by the Batman Who Laughs. Again, should have taken at least a year or two, let it marinate, let him go away for a while after almost 2 solid years of nothing but him. Not in love with it. Not in love at all. All these books are going to be buys for me. I like them all. I have some qualms with some of them, but I still think they're solid buys. Entertaining for at least no other reason. And as for things that have heated up, weirdly enough, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, since they announced the Disney Plus animated show, the number 1 has been selling for 30 and up pretty steadily. Also, the Black Knight first appearances started swelling. Those were 2 of the bigger ones, and for some reason, Namor's first appearance versus Silver Age appearance in Fantastic Four has started going through the roof. People are speccing it, and I'm not sure if they're tipped off or if they know something we don't. Anyway, something to keep an eye on. So, with that being said, thank you for watching. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you around. Bye.